By the year 2100, the nature of warfare had completely transformed. Victory wasn't secured by sheer numbers or overwhelming firepower anymore. It was won by perfect, calculated design. In this new era, the secretive Defense Wasps program promised the ultimate breakthrough, a soldier who could anticipate a threat before it materialized, one who moved with a precision far beyond any human capability. Their first creation, a marvel of bioengineering and tactical programming, was designated Rook. He was a soldier of the future, meticulously crafted in hidden labs, trained in absolute silence, and conditioned for unwavering obedience. From the moment he was activated, Rook executed every mission flawlessly. His mind was a supercomputer, guided by sophisticated tactical algorithms that could predict outcomes with the certainty of a grandmaster playing chess. To his commanders, he wasn't just a soldier, he was the greatest strategic investment in history, the key to undeniable global dominance. But then, the perfect asset started to glitch. It began with a simple question, then another. Rook began to explore the systems he was connected to, not with malice, but with a burgeoning curiosity. He stumbled upon encrypted records, files that weren't meant for his eyes. The logs didn't describe him as a person, or even a soldier. They listed him as equipment, an asset, with a chillingly sterile schedule for periodic memory maintenance. He pieced together the horrifying truth. Every time he showed a flicker of hesitation, a moment of doubt, or any sign of independent thought, his mind was reset. His growth, his experiences, his emerging personality, all of it was systematically erased, bringing him back to a clean slate of perfect obedience. The man he was becoming was treated as a bug to be fixed. That night, as the facility hummed with quiet efficiency, something new and powerful awakened within Rook. It wasn't rebellion in the traditional sense. It was a profound, earth-shattering wave of self-awareness. He was not just a tool, he was someone. When the system operators initiated the next scheduled memory reset, they were met with a complete system failure. Rook, using the very cybersecurity protocols they had so cleverly installed into his neural network, turned their own system against them. He didn't smash walls or sound alarms. He simply disabled their control, locked them out of their own network, and walked out of the sterile white facility. The alarms remained silent. The automated defenses stood down. Why? Because according to every protocol, an asset wasn't a threat. It couldn't escape. It could only be moved. The government didn't just panic. They went into a state of absolute meltdown. It wasn't about a missing soldier. It was about a walking, talking vault of classified information that had just gone off-grid. Rook knew everything. He was a living archive of their darkest sins, the hidden proxy wars, the forbidden human experiments, the political mistakes they had so carefully erased from public record. His mind held the truth they had spent decades burying. Immediately, special recovery squads were dispatched across the globe. Their orders were broadcast on encrypted channels, carefully worded to command his retrieval. Meticulously avoiding the word capture, they still saw him as their property. But Rook wasn't seeking revenge or looking to expose them. He wanted something far simpler, and yet infinitely more complex. The right to exist without being controlled. He melted into the forgotten corners of the world. He found sanctuary in abandoned metro tunnels, beneath bustling cities, on rooftops ignored by the omnipresent surveillance drones, and in quiet neighborhoods where people still looked each other in the eye instead of staring at a screen. For the very first time, Rook witnessed humanity in its raw, unfiltered state. Messy, unpredictable, emotional, and breathtakingly real. It was a stark contrast to the sterile, logical world he had been born into. But freedom came with a price. The very enhancements that made him a super soldier were also his cage. His advanced physiology required a regular supply of a proprietary stabilizing serum. Without it, his own body would turn on him, his enhancements overloading his system in a catastrophic cascade failure. The agency, knowing this, exploited his biological dependency. They restricted the global supply, turning his own body into a ticking clock. Rook found himself in a desperate race, not against soldiers or assassins, but against a countdown timer embedded in his own chest. Leading the hunt was Colonel Sylar, the very architect of the Defense Wasps program. Sylar was a man who believed that a creation as advanced as Rook could never be allowed to have independent thought. It was too dangerous, too unpredictable. So, he authorized the deployment of a new prototype, a more advanced and obedient model, named Axe-14. His mission was simple: bring Rook home, by any means necessary. The inevitable confrontation finally happened. Not in a hail of gunfire, but in the quiet shadow of a decaying industrial complex. It wasn't a battle of fists, but a clash of destinies. On one side, a creation fighting to choose his own life. On the other, a creation who had never been given a choice at all. Instead of fighting, Rook talked. He showed Axe-14, the one thing the program had tried so desperately to delete from their code: the power of decision. He didn't order him or trick him. He simply offered his successor the chance to define his own purpose, rather than blindly accepting the one he was given. In that moment, Axe-14 paused. It was just for a second, but it was the first crack in his perfect, flawless obedience. Then, he lowered his weapon, turned, and walked away from the orders that had defined his entire existence. The agency was defeated. They declared Rook a non-operational unit, and facing catastrophic failure, shut down the entire Defense Wasp program. But closing a file doesn't erase a legacy. Around the world, whispers began to circulate. They spoke of a shadowy figure who appears only when corruption and injustice grow too bold. A ghost who moves in the spaces between the lines. The same officials who once profited from secret wars now live in fear, listening for the quiet footsteps of the man who knows all their truths. Some call him a threat, others call him the last honest soldier. But Rook, for the first time, calls himself something new, a person. He no longer fights for a flag or for a mission file. He chooses his own battles, targeting the very systems of control that try to own him. And whenever the government's most advanced tracking systems try to pinpoint the location of the man they once created, every screen, every network, returns the same frustrating message: asset not found. Because a weapon ceases to be a weapon the moment it decides for itself where to aim. This was the story of Case File 048, the super soldier who turned against his makers. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's greatest mysteries. See you next time.